What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q here from Retro Q Game, and it's a good thing I waited until later today to make this video because, well, you'll see why now in a minute. So originally we were going to touch on just 2 points in this video. There's still going to be the main 2 points, and then we're going to incorporate something else that happened later today. And yeah, we'll go from there. So what are we talking about? Well, it's the perfect time to get back into it. We're going to talk about some sales numbers and some information put out from Sony via one of their investor meetings, investor calls, and all the usual things and whatnot. And this goes hand in hand with something else that Sony announced today and something that's rumored, and it's all starting to make sense. So you might remember Sony have started dipping their toe into the whole native PC ports of their own first-party games that were previously exclusive to their consoles, namely in this case so far the PlayStation 4, but also seemingly the PlayStation 5. Now we'll get to that a little bit later, but one of the key important things to remember is that there are currently 3 announced and released games for the PC from Sony first-party studios. There is another announced one that is not released just yet, but it is going to be released at some point in 2022. And, well, let's leave that one for a little bit also as well, shall we? So let's go with the data that we have so far. So in this investor meeting, investor call, whatever it is, Sony have announced the sales numbers and the amount in revenue that these games have individually brought in. First up is Horizon Zero Dawn, which launched back in August of 2020. That has sold 2.39 million units and accounts for $60 million in revenue. Then we have Days Gone, which released in May of 2021. That has 852,000 sales, $22.7 million in revenue. And then the much more recent God of War, which launched in January of this year, 971,000 sales, $26.2 million in revenue. Now, when you add all of those numbers up so far with the revenue ones, you get 108.9 million. I was going to say 189 million. $108.9 million in revenue from straight up native PC game ports. That's pretty damn good when you look at that, especially considering by the end of the first financial year, which was in their 2020 financial year, which only had Horizon Zero Dawn available, they had $35 million in revenue / profit from just the PC titles. Then by the end of the financial year of 2021, which incorporated both Horizon and Days Gone, they had a total up to date of 80 million. So that's pretty damn good. Now, the next part of this is where it gets a bit more interesting with what they announced today. So their year-on-year growth was expected to improve, and they estimated that they will take in by the end of the financial year of 2022. I can't remember when Sony's financial year ends / starts. I can't remember if it's the end of March or the end of April. I don't remember. But either way, the point is they were looking to bring in 300 million total with PC ports by the end of financial year 2022. Of course, that's also going to include not only the previous and let's call them forecast sales of Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, but it also includes God of War, which launched, like I said, earlier this year and is not factored into any of the previous years. But even when you put these 3 games, these 3 sales figures and these 3 revenue numbers, when you put all of them together, you barely get over 100 million. So the big question is, what is going to make up the difference in that? The almost 200 million they're expecting. Now, this is where it gets interesting because there's a couple of, are they going to include this? Are they going to include that? Or what else do they have planned? Because this surely implies there are many, many releases and announcements that haven't even been made yet, which could help them achieve this number, because let's face it, without something big or without many releases, this isn't happening in this year. So the big question, of course, is, well, not even a question at first, but the big guarantee at first is the Uncharted collection. Now, this Uncharted collection, I don't even remember the full proper title for it. I think is it Legend of Thieves or Thieves Legacy or something like that. This game is both a little bit important and not as important. It's important enough because it's an Uncharted game, one of Sony's 4 tentpole franchises, finally making its debut on PC. The other ones, of course, being God of War, The Last of Us, and Spider-Man. Now, back to back to Uncharted. It is Uncharted 4, the fourth mainline game in the series, and it's also a spin-off game. It does not include the first 3 games. And I'm going to assume the mainline games, at least anyway, all follow one consistent story thread. So it's not going to... It's important in the sense that Sony are doing a Uncharted and they're bringing it over. But at the same time, I'm sure many people are holding off buying it because it doesn't have the first 3. Now, I don't care if, you know, you can get the Nathan Drake collection on the PS4 or whatever it is. The point is, on PC is what we're looking for here. It's the superior ports, the superior versions, all in the one easy platform. Especially considering, you know, 120, 144 frames per second and mouse and keyboard aiming. Pretty damn important for games like these. Now, with it, that in and of itself... there's no way that's going to bring in 200 million or close to 200 million. Hell, that's probably not even going to do God of War numbers. But let's go back to the rest of the thing here. So what else does this leave? Are they going to potentially include, if the Bungie deal finally does go through, are they going to include all the money included from, say, Destiny 2 expansions and microtransactions and all as well? Because that's still not going to hit that level of money on revenue in less than a year. Absolutely not. So the big question with this goes into the 300 million which Sony announced today, or the expected one that they announced today. So everyone's looking and they're just thinking, okay, with the 3 games they have and Uncharted, what the hell else are they going to do? So we all know Jim Ryan has already confirmed that a whole slate of PlayStation games, previously PlayStation first-party exclusive games, will be coming to PC. A whole slate means a big lot. It means a nice, big, fat chunk selection. So, yeah, we can wait and see how that goes. But, it gets better. Thank God I waited to make this video later in the day, because a little while ago, just a few hours ago, I think it was about 3 hours ago as of the time of recording this, there's been an update on Steam database, the Steam DB. Now, it's not Steam itself, it's like a hidden back-end kind of thing that, I guess you could say, catalogs and characterizes and whatnot, the listings and the individual product codes and stuff that are on there. And there's a game, there's a new update, it's listed as Oregon. Now, Oregon, if you didn't know, was the project name for Returnal while it was in development. And not only that, but it also gives lots of specifics about the game, like the genre, a bunch of other stuff in it as well. And it has a very specific, what we would call, reference to a place called, I believe it's the Tower of Sisyphus. And that is from Returnal. So it looks like Returnal is probably going to be the next game coming to PC after Uncharted. Hell, it might even come before Uncharted somehow. But the point is, Uncharted has already been announced, so you can probably expect this. It's also important to note that Returnal was on the NVIDIA leak, the NVIDIA GeForce Now leak. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. But still, in and of itself, let's look at the Destiny 2, or the Bungie/Destiny 2 purchase, the 3 games already released, Uncharted and Returnal. There's still no way this is bringing in 200 million in the space of a year. Not at all. Not at all. So the big question is, what else do they have coming? Because at this point, if they're expecting that or even anything close to it, they obviously know what they have and what they're going to be bringing over. Do you have any guesses? I don't know. I've only said 2 things. I've always only said 2 things. The only 2 games, the only 2 Sony first-party developed, I was going to say FPS for a second, but that's not true. The only first-party games from Sony that I care about from coming over to PC. I have bought Horizon Zero Dawn, didn't like it. I bought Days Gone, I liked it. I bought God of War, it was okay. I don't know if I'll buy Uncharted because I don't really like Uncharted, and well, it doesn't have the first 3, so kind of pointless, especially because I've never finished the first 3. But the only ones I care about, I would buy The Last of Us 1, The Last of Us Remastered, I guess at that point. We'll bring over the PS4 version and improve it even more. There's that, and the remake of Shadow of the Colossus. They'd be the only 2 I give a shit about, and that would be about it. I would possibly buy... I most likely wouldn't buy Returnal. whatever else they would bring over. If let's just use tentpole franchises, if they brought over Spider-Man, I would probably buy it on a sale just because I've already platinumed regular Spider-Man remastered and I've already finished Miles Morales on PS5. So yeah. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see. Of course, E3 does not exist this year anymore, but we will still have games or shows and showcases and whatnot from the likes of the PC gaming show. And let's be real, announcements like this, especially when you think of God of War and Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn, they were just announced out of nowhere. So yeah, expect whatever comes next to just be announced out of nowhere.